I'm Derek Dennis.
This is Jamie Andrus, President and CEO of your Cache Valley Chamber of Commerce. I'm frequently asked, what is a Chamber of Commerce? A chamber is your resource for all things business. As a nonprofit membership organization, we are your voice advocating for legislative issues and an active proponent for business growth and expansion. For more information on becoming a member, visit cachechamber.com or call 435-752-2161.
Hey, John Weiss here from Heritage Auto in Logan, Tremont, and Brigham City. Let's celebrate these last few warm days together and have you swing by and pick up a 2021 summer souvenir, a Ram truck from Heritage Auto. The Make This Summer sales event is still on, but you've got to act fast. Take home a 2021 Ram 1500 with low 1.9% APR financing for 60 months and no monthly payment for the first 90 days. Come to Heritage Auto, your hometown dealer with the biggest deals.
Heritage Auto Group. Heritage, it's what drives our future. News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
The following is a paid program of commercial time on KVNU. The information, offers, and claims are solely those of the sponsor and not the opinions of this station, its affiliates, management, or employees. It's time for the Garden Guide with your host, Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden.
New research suggests that people are more likely to eat vegetables if they have a tempting name.
What would life be without homegrown tomatoes? Only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
From gardening to landscaping.
Today we are going to try and create garden eyebrows. Kind of like the flowers are sprouting directly from your hair. That makes sense.
Go! Phone lines are open at 753-KVNU or 800-369-KVNU.
Kind of like eating vegetables.
It's the Garden Guide, now on KVNU 610 AM and 102 FM.
Well, it's Saturday morning, 8 o'clock hour. That time again for the Garden Guide. I'm Bill Walter, your host, and of course our main host is just over to my left here, Mark Anderson.
Good morning, Bill.
How are you?
Doing great. Glad to have you on the show this morning.
Why, thank you.
Yeah.
Nice to be here. We, have a little bit different weather that we had probably this time last week. It was probably hot and dry. Right now, as we speak, it's 52 degrees, so that's very, very comfy. And
it's feeling very fall-like. Yeah, very much like fall. And, we're harvesting like crazy. So yesterday we went out and gathered a wheelbarrow full of corn, along with a bushel plus of tomatoes. And the garden's just going crazy right now. So that's great. Cucumbers are coming on. I've got cantaloupes that are just like so close, ready to be harvested. So tried a couple new varieties this year. They're a little bit later, but they look amazing. I can hardly wait to start sampling.
So yeah, and of course growing season still going on, but the harvest season will definitely commence in full very soon.
It makes it all worth it. So potatoes are ready. We can definitely talk about harvesting and storing your potatoes. Onions are ready. Now's really the best time to start gathering your onions up. We're starting to get some cooler weather, and those onions are going to want to start to grow again. So we can definitely talk about how to harvest and prepare and store those for fall as well too. So we got some great topics to talk about. A lot of bugs. Oh man, wasps and hornets are going crazy. I've seen multiple samples of squash bugs attacking, pumpkins and squash vines. So we've got quite a bit of insect activity as well too. And at my house, we're seeing skunks and raccoons like crazy. We harvested about 100 cobs the other day, and I think our raccoon friends have sampled at least 70 at our house, and so
they didn't even ask you. How rude!
That's like if they'd share a little bit, if they'd harvest some and then set it aside so we could go pick it up and
maybe leave a little cash.
That wouldn't be so bad, but they have not been doing that. So we've been dealing with raccoons and skunks. We've been catching a bunch of skunks. Raccoons have been eluding our measures, our protective measures. So far we're still working on those, but great time to plant fall crops too. It's the perfect time. Usually right around the 20th of August is when we recommend you plant your onion seed if you want to have your onions to winter over for next year. So this is a really great time to do that as well too. So we've got a lot of topics to talk about. We've got phone lines that are open, and of course at Anderson Seed and Garden we've got our cash sale going on right now. So the way the cash sale works is we've got some gorgeous trees, shade trees. We've got a few fruit trees left. We've got evergreens. We've got flowering shrubs and deciduous shrubs and evergreen shrubs, and they are all 35% off right now. So we're starting to clear out the nursery area, and the greenhouses are completely cleared out. And we are offering an extra 15% discount if you come and pay with cash. So this is our annual cash clearance sale. But if you come in and you pay with cash, not a debit card, not a check, but with the green bills that have presidents on them. If we pay with cash,
which over the last year and a half, a lot of people weren't using.
No.
Many businesses were not
didn't want to touch those. But the cash, you pay with cash, you get an extra 15% off. So therefore, you would have a 50% discount off of those remaining trees and shrubs and vines and all that nursery stock that we have left over. There's a few items that are not included on the sale, but not much. And they're just brand new ones that we just got in. So there's mostly, I would say, 95% of the product we have left over is included in the cash sale. We have just a couple exceptions, but 35% off if you want to pay with your credit card. 50% off if you pay with cash, and it's a great deal. We've seen a lot of very happy customers leaving with plants to fill their yard with. So that cash sale is going on right now, and so just a great time to be outside. Extra moisture has been amazing.
You said you got 2 inches at your
almost
your
2
house.
inches at our house. We've got a very accurate measuring device, and we got close to 2 inches at our house in the last 2 storms. So those two storms this week,
and more on the way later today.
Yeah, I think on the news last night they were talking for northern Utah another half inch. So when we get this much rain and we still have warm temperatures, which will be coming next week, but mid 80s is very comfortable, very comfortable. But the weeds are popping up like crazy. So I was out in my garden last night harvesting some more stuff, and
weeds like rain too.
Weeds everywhere. So I'm just like, oh man, I'm never going to get caught up on these weeds. And my next batch of corn's coming on. I've got to fertilize that this weekend. It's a necessary task. Got to get out there and get that fertilizer on. Maybe I'll try and do it between storms today.
There you go.
Run home and throw that nitrogen out there before the rain starts to come down. So we have a lot of topics we can talk about. Phone lines are open, 753-5868, 753-KVNU, or 1-800-369-5868. We'd love to have you join us here on The Garden Guide. If you have questions, comments, we'd love to have you join us here on the show. So,
all right.
Not too bad.
We were talking off here before about, the situation with the drought and, because you get a little bit of rain and everybody's like, woohoo!
Oh, we're good.
The drought is over. Well, not quite, but every raindrop helps.
We had record temperatures for July. And I think we've had record...
I think for June, too.
Yeah, and June, too. Yeah, and we've had record temperatures already for August. I think it's going to be one of our coolest Augusts ever.
I know.
Even after we had a couple warm days there, but we had a cool start to the month, and then this whole week's been much, much cooler than normal. It's nice to see the smoke mostly disappear.
We can actually see the Wellsvilles from my vantage point here, which is
quite.
That's how I gauge just how bad it is. If I can at least see the Wellsvilles, it's not as bad.
So the great thing about all this rain is it has kind of rehydrated our soil back up, and you can see. Just driving down here, you can see everybody's lawns just in the last couple of days have just perked up a whole bunch, having that extra moisture and the cooler temperatures. Grass just recovers so much faster. When it's 95 degrees and you apply a half an inch of water, the grass picks that water up, but it still is kind of stressing because it's going to be 95, 100 degrees the next day. But when we get this kind of moisture, and we get an inch and a half, 2 inches of rain, and the daytime temperatures are only in the 60s and low 70s, grass has a chance to recover and recuperate a lot faster. It's a great time to plant some new grass. Everybody's grass has kind of been beaten up, and it's been very stressful. It's been hard.
And the governor had suggested earlier suggested at the beginning of summer or the end of spring to try to only water 2 days a week. Everybody's lawns have been not that green color, more yellow,
a little more yellow, which is fine in our drought condition, but. At this point, if you do a little maintenance and add some new grass to your lawn, if we have continuing conditions where we are unable to water as much, your lawn will stay greener. And so there's some very, very nice varieties of grass that are much more drought resistant and drought tolerant than what we've incorporated into our lawns the last 30 or 40 years. And with one good watering a week, you can keep your lawn really green and nice. And so this is a great opportunity with some cooler temperatures, with some extra moisture, to incorporate some new grass into your turf. So we would recommend either a turf type rye or a turf type fescue, or a blend of both, and incorporate that into your bluegrass lawn. It will blend in very nicely with your existing grass, especially the perennial rye. The turf type rye looks gorgeous. It's a dark green, and it doesn't need nearly as much water to stay green and beautiful. Insects don't like to eat it. It's very resistant to a lot of diseases. So if you've been fighting insects all year, or last year, or for multiple years in a row, they won't eat the turf type ryegrass, and so they will just leave and go somewhere else, like to your neighbor's house, which is the best solution of all. So the turf type rye's gorgeous dark green. They don't need as much water, resilient, very soft textured. So it's very similar to a Kentucky bluegrass in the width of the blade and the texture as well. So you can walk on it barefoot. It's like super, super soft, and insect and disease resistant. Great time to incorporate that into the lawn. What we have done in the past is killed off sections of our lawn and put some new varieties in. We did this last year, and what a huge difference it makes. Those areas that we have replanted, we were only watering twice a week, like you said, the governor had mentioned this year, twice a week, and in some cases we were watering less than what we normally, much less than we were watering, in some areas up to 50% less. And to start the season off with is about 25% less, because we didn't realize our sprinklers weren't set correctly this spring. And the grass was staying green even with that minimal amount of water. So it's worked out very, very well. So if you're thinking that you would like to water less and you want to get rid of a whole bunch of your lawn, you can definitely do that. But you can still maintain a beautiful lawn and use half of the water of what you've been using in the past and still stay as green and beautiful with some of these newer varieties of grass.
Yeah. Very good.
Makes a big difference. So if you want to do that, the best way to do it is to mow your lawn down really close, like just kind of scalp it right now, and then broadcast that brand new seed right over the top of the existing grass.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Just like that. Huh?
And then rake it with a leaf rake. So just get out there and rake it. And what it's going to do is it's going to brush the grass around, and then the seed's going to fall down and make contact with the soil. And then, continue doing your regular watering, if that's twice a week or however that's working right now. I turned my sprinklers off completely first part of the week because this moisture has been great. So we haven't watered for almost a week. It was probably Saturday of last week,
and all the reservoirs thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I've heard two different schools of thought when it comes to grass. I've heard in a drought situation you want to cut your grass way down, get it as short as possible. But I've also heard others say in a drought, let your grass grow
taller,
because it will hold the wet moisture it does get. It will hold it in.
So this is how it works. If you mow closer, your grass will be more aggressive to spread horizontally. So your root system will spread aggressively, horizontally, so laterally, so it'll spread out. But your grass will stress a little bit more for water because it's shorter and it's going to brown up just a little bit more.
Because whatever rain it gets
in
or
hot
water,
temperatures, it's absorbed up. But it's great underneath your trees where it's shadier and your grass kind of tends to thin out to mow much closer, because then the grass will spread horizontally and will fill in some of those bare patches faster
and not be as distressed.
Yeah. But if you leave the grass taller, it can handle the heat better. It doesn't dry out as fast. The soil stays moist longer because the grass is actually shading the soil, so the moisture is going to stay there a lot longer, and the root system will go deeper looking for more water. So it'll actually increase your root system, vertically, and so it will go down deeper. So if the grass is taller on top, the root system will try and match it on the bottom and go deeper. If you mow it short, it'll go horizontal and it will fill in patches. So if you have grass that's a little thinner and you'd like it to fill in a little bit more, start mowing closer. So what we do at our house is in the springtime, we mow closer. And so we'll mow a lot closer, and it gets that grass to really fill in and thicken up to start the season off with. And then when we start getting hotter temperatures in like late May, early June.
And drier conditions.
Yeah, and drier conditions. Yeah. Then we mow much taller, like as high as the mower will go, and we'll mow much taller throughout the whole summertime. And then in the fall, mid-September, early October, we'll start dropping the mower blade down so that when we start doing our final mowings in November or even early December, if the weather stays nice, then that grass will thicken up and it will spread further that way as well too. So we've got phone lines open, 753-5868, 753-KVNU, or 1-800-369-5868 if you'd like to join us here on The Garden Guide. Bill and I are having a great conversation, and we would love to have you join us here on The Garden Guide. Cash sale going on at Anderson Seed and Garden. So as I mentioned at the top of the hour with the cash sale, all of our trees and shrubs and evergreens and vines, flowering shrubs, fruit trees, they're on sale for 35% off. But if you pay with cash, not a debit card, not a credit card, not a check, if you pay with cash, you get an extra 15% off, so you can get them for 50% off. So you get them for half price if you pay with cash. So 35% off with a debit card, 50% off if you come pay with cash. So great time to come in and add some shrubs or trees to your landscape. And with the cooler temperatures, they're doing great. So looks like we have a caller.
First up this morning, we have Kathy calling in from Dayton this morning.
Good morning, Kathy. Welcome to The Garden Guide.
Good morning. I have a couple of questions. Last winter, we trimmed our apple tree a bit too much. And I think we've gotten 4 apples on it this year.
Okay.
It still needs more trimming.
Yes.
Should I do it again?
You could actually do some trimming now, if you would like. Anytime throughout the growing season, if you've got branches or parts of the tree that need to be thinned out a little bit, it would be a great time to go ahead and do that. And then you'll want to do a little bit more trimming again first thing in the spring. Right before the leaves come out. Usually we're out doing ours in February, late February, early March. Through March is a great time to do it. So I assume your tree got really overgrown and it was just time to kind of open that back up. So, yeah.
It needed it. It's just I only got 4 apples instead of getting 400 apples.
Yes.
Kind of
well, some years you just aren't going to get as many apples, and we had our trees pruned last year quite vigorously, but the way spring hit and the frosts and whatnot, we didn't have a whole lot of fruit set this year, but we had a lot last year. So sometimes it'll go into a little cycle like that, and sometimes depending on when frost hits, your blossoms get damaged, you don't have as much fruit. But some of our trees have a lot of fruit on them, and some of them are a little bit lighter this year compared to last year. So it may be from your pruning, it may be just from the weather,
Just luck.
Yeah.
Okay, roses, same thing. I don't know what to do with them. I've tried to keep them fairly watered.
Yes.
But they really don't look good.
Yeah.
And how do I get them ready for winter?
Yeah. Usually in August, we kind of stop fertilizing. So if you have not done another fertilizer this month, do one more rose food or a rose food with systemic, and call it good for this year. And at this point, you can prune the roses a little bit more aggressively to try and get a nice flush of flowers that come out in September. Usually, when it starts to cool down, the roses will really start to produce again. And throughout the summer, we'll prune every time they bloom. We'll prune them down about five leaflets, and so we'll prune off all those flowers to encourage more growth, and then feed them once a month to keep that going. But we don't want to keep feeding them through fall, because we want them to go dormant in October. Okay. So we don't want them to keep growing and then get damaged if we have some cold weather. So one more fertilization. Don't fertilize anymore after that, and then you can leave those last flowers that come on in September, early October, leave them on the rose so that they form rose hips. As the rose forms those rose hips, they will know that it's time to start getting ready and prepare for winter. And so by allowing the rose hips to form on the roses and not trimming those spent flowers off, it will help the rose go more dormant quicker and prepare for winter. And so that would be what. So prune now, but then as the new flowers come on in September, don't prune those off. Let them just form rose hips, and that will help a whole bunch.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Then the other thing we do is in October is we use magnesium sulfate and potash on our roses. So it's not a nitrogen fertilizer. It's just magnesium, sulfur, and potash. And what the sulfur does is it lowers the pH, which the roses really like. So it'll bring the pH down. Magnesium encourages more flowers for next year. The potassium makes them more hardy for the winter time. So we do 1/4 of a cup of magnesium sulfate and 1/4 of a cup of potash on each rose, kind of sprinkle it on the ground around each rose, water it thoroughly, and then, end of October, 1st of November, we mulch the roses up and protect them for winter, and away we go. So that will help a whole bunch.
To know too.
Yeah, that will help a bunch.
All right,
Kathy.
thank you.
You're so welcome. Thanks for calling this morning. You have a great weekend.
You too.
All right,
Bye-bye.
thanks. All right, that frees up our phone lines, 753-5868, 753-KVNU, or 1-800-369-5868. So have you got roses at your house, Bill?
No. We have some tomatoes and some other plants that we picked up. I can't remember what we have in the potted plants in the front. We don't have a garden at present. But we do have some tomatoes that are doing very nicely. 3 tomato plants in the back.
If you have a planter on your front porch, you have a garden.
Okay, so we're officially gardeners. But now the tomatoes, they're becoming very ripe right now, and they're just turning from green to red.
Crazy! So. My plants are. Many of them are over 6 feet tall, and they have inundated my tomato cages, so they're starting to fall over the place. But my sister came and picked a bushel of tomatoes yesterday, and I went out there last night, and there's still a lot more. We could probably get another half bushel off of the tomatoes, so they are going nuts. And our cherry tomatoes are just absolutely loaded, and so we can't stay on top of those fast enough. We're probably wasting a good portion of those. I'd be happy if the raccoons would like to have some of the tomatoes, but they keep eating my corn, darn it, and they're doing enough damage that it's affecting our harvest. So between the raccoons and the skunks in our neighborhood, we're providing quite the buffet to all the wildlife down on the island in Logan. So between the deer and the raccoons and the skunks, it's a buffet at Anderson's.
Yeah, at the Anderson house.
Yeah, the Anderson restaurant. It's a free buffet for everybody. Just make sure and pass the word around. So it's all right.
Well, it looks like next up we have Brandon calling in from Smithfield.
All right. Good morning, Brandon. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Hey, thank you, Mark. Appreciate all you do.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, quick question about just the grass. Is it too late to apply a grub preventative?
It is not. In fact, sod webworms, with our unusual weather patterns, seem to be showing up late this year. And in fact, all the grubs and billbugs showed up really late as well, too. So I would suspect the sod webworms will be late also. So if you put an application on right now, most of those season-long insecticides will last 2 to 3 months. So you will get all the way into November, and prevent sod webworm damage throughout the rest of the fall. So grubs and billbugs are pretty much done for the season. Their life cycle is moving on, but sod webworms are going to be showing up here probably in the next couple of weeks. And so a preventative application right now would be very advisable if you've had problems in the past, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what should we put on?
You know what? You could do the Bug Blaster Plus, which has a contact as well as a systemic insecticide in there. So it'll work on contact on the surface where the sod webworms are hatching out, but also has the systemic in there that the grass will absorb up and it will stay inside the grass for 2 to 3 months. And anyone who's like nibbling on the grass, doing damage to it, it's going to take care of those as well too. So I like the Bug Blaster Plus. The Grub Free Zone from High Yield is really good as well too. So both of those products would be very, very effective right now for the next couple months. And it won't kill the moths. This is the one thing that people don't understand. It's like if you see moths out there, moths are just out there having fun. They're having a great time. They're just enjoying being in the grass. They're flying around, reproducing, dropping eggs. But whatever insecticide that you apply is not going to kill the moths. It kills the larvae. It's the larvae that do all the damage to the grass. And so we're trying to target the larvae, the babies that are out there munching on the grass and on the root system. But if you put an application on and 3 days later and you see moths all over the lawn, it's never going to kill those moths. Ever.
Okay.
Yeah, especially when you mow it off. If you put a liquid out there, it'll work for a couple days, but as soon as you mow it, all your insecticide's gone. So it's just not going to affect the moths at all. So what we're trying to do is we're going to target the actual part of the insect, the larva, that does all the damage and keep them under control. And if we control the larva, then all of a sudden you don't have any moths anymore. So.
Makes sense. All right. Thank you very much.
You're so welcome. Hey, thanks for calling this morning, Brandon. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too. Bye.
All right. We'll see you. Okay, if you'd like to join us here on the Garden Guide, 753-5868, 753-KVNU, or 1-800-369-5868. So, like I mentioned, I've got a new batch of corn coming on. It's about 18 inches tall. I already fertilized it once, and I'm about ready to fertilize it again. So I think today would be a great time to do that. Straight nitrogen fertilizer on your corn if it's coming along, and usually I'll do 2 or 3 applications during the growing season to get nice production. We are growing a new variety this year. It's called Nirvana, and the Nirvana is a super sweet. It's going to replace Optimum in the next year or two, and I'll tell you what, I fertilized it 3 times, and I got 2 to 3 full ears off of each stalk.
Wow.
It is producing like crazy. If I could keep the raccoons out of it, we would have so much corn we wouldn't know what to do. But it is unbelievable how sweet it is. Amazing quality, crunches when you bite into it, and 2 to 3 ears per stalk, 8.5 to 9 inch long ears, full rows, filled out all the way to the tip. I mean, the corn just looks amazing right now. So very excited about the Nirvana. We're trying a whole bunch of other new varieties as well too. Got some new varieties of cantaloupes and some new tomatoes that we're sampling out of our garden as well too. So a lot of fun stuff coming out of the garden right now. But looks like we are at the bottom of the hour. We want to take a little short break, Bill?
Yeah, Vicki, Ted, hang on. We'll get to you around the corner here.
With your KVNU News update this hour, it's brought to you by Mount Logan Laundry. A student was hospitalized after a semi-truck hit a school bus Friday afternoon in Smithfield. The crash occurred at 100 North Main at around 1:45 p.m. Smithfield City Police Chief Travis Allen said the bus was northbound on Main Street and attempting to turn left onto 100 North. The bus driver told officers as the traffic light turned yellow, he proceeded to make the turn. At the same time, the semi-truck that was traveling southbound struck the bus on the passenger side. The bus had 28 occupants on board, including the driver. It was transporting students home from Green Canyon High School when the accident happened. Police and paramedics arrived on the scene within a minute of the crash being reported. One student was taken by ambulance to Cache Valley Hospital as a precaution. They reportedly had non-life-threatening injuries. Allen said the semi-truck was carrying a full load, and the driver claimed that they were unable to stop in time for the bus. Police are still determining who caused the crash. No citations have been issued pending the completion of the investigation. And the Grand County Sheriff's Office has now identified the 2 women who were found dead in a remote area near Moab earlier this week. Police say that Crystal Turner and Kaylin Schultz were shot and killed in the South Mesa area of the LaSalle Loop Road. KUTV reports the Sheriff's Office said that they are actively following up on leads, but nobody is in custody for killing the women. Sheriff Stephen White said it does not appear to be a murder-suicide, and investigators believe that someone else killed the women and then fled the area. Friends of Schultz say that she and Turner had recently married and both worked in Moab. Well, looking at mostly clear skies through the weekend, but a chance of some evening showers and thunderstorms as daytime temperatures are going to stay right around the high 70s. Overnight temperatures right around the mid to low 50s. Will Feel Right for KVNU News.
From ABC Sports. Hi, everybody. I'm Todd Ant. In the first of 3 crucial games between a pair of division leaders, Tim Anderson continues to prove why he does not shy away from a big moment.
Here's a 3-2. Tim hits a ground ball toward right, base hit. Collins around third's going to be sent. The throw by Margot to the plate, not in time.
The call on WMVP after his 9th inning home run forced extra innings. Anderson added a go-ahead single in the 11th to put the White Sox back in front, and the Southsiders outlasted the Rays 7-5 in 11. Luke Voigt backed up his demand for more playing time with a huge night for the surging Yankees.
And the pitch is swung on and hit in the air to right center. Gordon going back. He's on the track. He's at the wall. She's gone.
On WFAN, the 2020 Major League home run leader led the Yanks with 4 hits, 4 RBIs, and a homer in the 7th. The Bronx Bombers routed the Twins 10-2 for their season-high 8th straight win. This is ABC.
All right, Taylor, you got your cowboy hat?
Check.
Horse?
Already saddled.
Horse trailer?
Of course.
What about your boots?
Still got my pink ones.
What about trucks, Taylor? I'm not seeing very many trucks on our lot at West Motor. I don't want to hear back-ordered, postponed, out-of-stock, microchip shortage, or any of that crap. I want to hear something positive.
I can do that. Hold on to your bootstraps, because it's time for the famous West Motor Rodeo Day sale.
It's no secret that inventory is limited, but the quickest and best way to get your new Ram truck is to have one built especially for you. Get the features you want, the equipment you need, and the right color without paying for anything that you don't want. We'll throw in some big discounts, and Ram will build that truck just the way you like it.
That's what we do around here. We find solutions.
Simply come into West Motor Company in Preston, and we'll get your new Ram truck ordered and send you home with a couple of our famous West Motor Rodeo jackets.
West Motor, how the West was won. WestMotorCompany.com.
We love being in Smithfield and making it easy for our friends and customers to do their banking. Hi, this is Danny Hansen, branch manager at Cache Valley Bank in Smithfield. If you don't bank with us, I invite you to discover what a great financial partner you'll find in Cache Valley Bank. I'm anxious to get to know you and invite you to stop by and say hello. Now celebrating our 2nd year in Smithfield, located on the corner of Center and Main, Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Monday edition Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show. The debacle in Afghanistan continues. We will bring you in and discuss the absolute latest.
Plus, we'll be talking about the COVID vaccine mandates in some cities. Is the tide going to turn against this madness? What's going to happen from the Biden administration perspective? That and all the breaking news of the day on this Monday on the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM. From gardening to landscaping, The Garden Guide with Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Welcome back. Second half hour of The Garden Guide here on this Saturday morning. Bill Walter in this morning, and with me is Mark Anderson of Anderson Seed and Garden.
And we're answering your questions, hopefully helping you solve your problems, creating some solutions. But we're also talking about all the great harvest and how much we're enjoying our gardens. We were just talking about Center Street, and Center Street looks amazing. If you haven't been down for the Wednesday market, it's going on for a couple more weeks. I think this week we've got the Wednesday market, and then we've got the Taste of Logan, which is welcoming all the USU students here on Wednesday. And
Then, is that this coming Wednesday?
This coming Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
And then the concert series, I think there's another concert on Wednesday Wednesday night downtown on Center Street. So,
Sweet.
Yeah, it's been great. Planters look amazing. The flowers are gorgeous. I mean, Center Street's just fun. There's some great places to eat, but there'll be more stuff going on this week at the Wednesday market. So that should be a lot of fun. Come down and see us, and stop in at Anderson's. Cash sales going on right now. You can get trees and shrubs and our remaining vines. Anything that's out there in our nursery. There's a couple exceptions, but not very many. For half price if you pay with cash. If you pay with a debit card or a check or a credit card, you're only going to get 35% off. So you get that extra 15% off if you pay with cash. And there's some great trees left. There's some really, really nice shrubs, some great evergreens. We've got a lot of nice plant material still in the nursery area there. So, but it looks like we've got a couple callers that have made it through the break. So we're
right.
appreciative of them staying online. And you said, Vicki?
First up, Vicki.
All right. Good morning, Vicki. Welcome to the Garden Guide. You there?
Yeah.
You there, Vicki?
Yeah.
You are on.
Okay.
Oop, we're losing you. All right. Should we, Vicki, give us a call back. I think we've got just a bad connection. If you want to give us a quick call back, we would love to have you on the Garden Guide. So, give it another shot. You want to try Ted, Bill?
Ted is next from Tremont.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ted.
Early this spring, I talked to you in the store about what I can do to keep the birds from destroying my ripening apples.
Yes.
And you said that you was going to be getting a new product late in the summer. I checked the store about 10 days ago, and they said that they have not received that yet. Are you still planning to get it, and what is it going to be?
There is a new repellent that's coming out, and it still hasn't been released yet, that will keep the birds off of your fruit and it won't affect your fruit. I'm not sure what it's going to be called, but it comes from the same company, Messina's, that does deer stopper and animal stopper and vole stopper, dog and cat stopper. So their family's called the stopper products, and we are looking forward to seeing that product, but I haven't seen it yet. So in the meantime, I would recommend you use some of the repellent tape. That's worked really quite well. It comes in like a 50 or 100-foot roll, and you cut like 3 or 4 foot long streamers, and you can tie it to branches in the tree. And then when you get a little bit of wind or air movement, it moves, and it's metallic or holographic, and it reflects light, and it scares the birds off and does a really pretty good job at keeping those birds away, especially when the fruit's starting to ripen up. Yeah, it causes their natural flight instinct to kick in, and they just take off when they see that movement. So those streamers work quite nicely with that repellent tape. So,
are you think that you're still going to receive this repellent?
Not this year. I'm not seeing anything yet this year. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for next year. Of course, the pandemic has kind of slowed the process down for a lot of new products. So the last 2 years, we haven't seen lots of new introductions. But I'm good friends with the president of the company, and he's been telling us about all the great things that are coming out here in the near future. So we're excited about it.
Okay, thank you.
You are so welcome. Thanks for calling this morning, Ted, and good luck with your birds. You have a good one. All right, take it easy.
Looks like next up we have Joan.
All right.
Calling in.
Wonderful. Good morning, Joan. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Hi. Got a question about leaf cutter bees.
Yes.
I guess that's what they're called. They're getting a lot of our plants, our lilacs and roses, and anyway, can you put something on them to keep them off, or what do you?
It may not be leafcutter bees. All right, so leafcutter bees will take a big chunk out of some of the flowers, not the flowers themselves, but the leaves. But they don't really do any permanent damage. It's more just cosmetic damage. But there is another insect that's called a root weevil, and when you said lilacs, that's the first thing that went off in my head. The alarm started to go off. Root weevils love lilacs, and they clip the edges out of the leaves, and the damage is a little smaller, and it's not as rampant ground as the leafcutter bees do, but they will make it look like you took a pinking shear right along the edge of the lilacs. And the root weevils do a lot more damage to the plants. So they are hiding down in the ground, and they'll actually damage the root system as well as clip the edges out of the leaves. And so they are a little bit more problematic than the leafcutter bees. Leafcutter bees are still pollinators, and so they'll be out there doing their thing. They don't create honey, but they still will pollinate your plants. But their damage is minimal to the plants, so it doesn't really do anything to them. It will deform some of the leaves, but the root weevils do a lot of damage. So we want to get those guys under control. So best way to get those stopped would be with a product called Bug Blaster or indoor-outdoor, a permethrin or a bifenthrin type product. You just mix it up in water, mix it up in a watering can, and then in the evening, just as the sun's going down, water the plants with it. And you don't want to get it necessarily on the plant. You can, but you want to get it on the ground around the plant. So you want to saturate, you want to saturate the soil around the plants that are being affected. And if it's root weevils, that will take care of them, because as soon as the sun goes down, they come up out of the soil and they'll start to nibble on your plants. And if the soil's wet with the insecticide, then it will kill them, and it won't affect your beneficial insects, like ladybugs or bees that way, because they're not going to be rooting around in the dirt. But the root weevils are, and so you can control the root weevils without affecting your beneficial insects that way. I would suspect where it's on your lilacs for sure. They love lilacs and they love peonies, and they'll get into dogwoods, and they will just clip the edges right out of the leaf until there's no edge left. All right.
Was Bug Blaster, and what was the other one?
Bug Blaster or the indoor-outdoor from High Yield, and that has permethrin in it. So permethrin, bifenthrin, any of those synthetic pyrethroid insecticides will do a great job on those root weevils.
Okay, great.
All right.
I'll try that. Thank you so much.
And make sure and do application once a week for like 2 or 3 weeks, and it should get them under control completely.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Awesome. You still there, Joan? All right. Hey, thanks so much for calling, Joan. We appreciate you being on the Garden Guide. So, all right.
Vicky has resolved her phone problem. She's back.
That's great. Good morning, Vicky.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Garden Guide.
I've had issues with grubs.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know. Are you supposed to pull the dead grass out?
That is a great question. Sometimes it will take quite a while for the grass to recover and come back. And so what we usually suggest is you can go through and just kind of rake out the real dead stuff. Sometimes you may want to bring a little bit of topsoil in just to kind of fill in where it's maybe pulled a little extra out, and then just overseed with some new grass, and your new grass will be back in about a week. So if you wait for the grass to recover, it can take months. If you plant some new grass, you could have new grass coming up in a week or less. And so I would definitely...
Okay, and even now it's okay to... new grass will grow now.
Oh, yeah. This is like the best time of year to plant grass. So from like the 1st of August through about the 1st of October is hands down the best time to plant grass. And with the temperatures cooling down, with the rain that we've had, nice soil moisture, you can get that new grass planted, water it just a little bit, a couple times a day. We planted right in the middle of summer last year, like end of July, and we were watering for 5 minutes 2 or 3 times a day just to keep a little bit of moisture out there, and we had grass up in 5 days. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it comes up very, very quickly. So at this point, though, where you've had some insect damage, make sure and use a blend of grasses that has maybe some bluegrass and a good portion of rye in there. And the ryegrass will blend in really well with the bluegrass. You won't even notice that it's in there, but the insects hate it. So it's really, really tolerant of insect damage because the insects don't like to eat it. And so they will move somewhere else. And so you can prevent the insects from coming back into that location just by putting a different type of grass in there.
Okay, so if I used Mark's Mix last time, don't use that.
The Mark's Mix actually has the rye in it and the fescue, and it's very resistant to almost all kinds of insects and diseases as well, too. So the Marks Mix
But it doesn't have the bluegrass?
It doesn't have the bluegrass in it, but it's got a fescue and a rye. So it's very, very drought tolerant. So it's one of those grasses that you could probably water once a week and keep it really green all summer, even under drought conditions. But it has some great insect and disease resistance built into it as well. So that would be
so
excellent.
if I've used Mark's Mix in the past, don't use that this time.
Well, you sure
right?
you sure
On
could.
these grubs?
No, you sure could. Yeah,
Oh,
because it's got that resistance in there, and so the grubs really they won't eat it. Yeah, they they won't eat it, but they go after the bluegrass. They love the bluegrass.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the Marks Mix,
All right.
the Marks Mix will give you the insect resistance, but also the drought tolerance. But it's a little stiffer grass. It's not as soft to walk on. If you do a bluegrass rye blend, then it's going to be really soft and dark green and have the insect resistance built into it as well.
Okay.
Okay.
I was wondering. I called your place, and they told me to use F-stop.
F-stop is a disease control. And so if you're having problems with diseases instead of insects, then the F-stop would do a great job at curing and preventing the disease. We've seen a lot of both this year. We've seen a lot of insect damage. We've probably seen more disease damage than we have insects this year. So it could be you may have had one or the other. And we've had a lot of stress as well, too. So we're kind of seeing three big problems that everybody's dealing with their lawns this year.
Okay, so F-stop will kill the grubs?
No, it's for disease. So the F-stop,
that's what they told me to use.
The F-stop works on diseases.
I've been using the wrong stuff.
Well, it depends on what time of year and whether you've really got grubs or not. So if you've been doing the Marks Mix, it's probably not likely that you've had grubs. But
if I pull my grass and it comes out, isn't that grub?
You want to dig down in there and find out, because if you grab the top of the grass and just pull up on it and the blades come out, if the grass has been damaged by disease or if it's been stressed, the blades will just pull out. So usually what we'll suggest is you take a knife or a shovel or a trowel and cut an 8 by 8 inch section and pull up on it, and right along the edge of the damage. And if you pull up on the grass and it pulls out like a piece of carpet, then you may have had some insect damage. You can usually find them down in there. But if you're just pulling blades of grass out, that it doesn't really indicate anything. As the blades dry up, they'll just pull out really easily. And so it could be from multiple things.
Those places have been dead on my grass for a long time. Use Bug Blaster or F-stop?
If it's insects, they didn't show up this year until July. And so if the damage was showing up earlier, it was probably a disease, or it could be stress.
Okay. It showed up earlier. It showed up every year first thing.
Okay, so then it's probably not insects, because this year we didn't see any insect damage until after the 4th of July. But we did see disease damage starting up in May. And so the May, and some stress as well too. But this is where putting that new variety of grass in there will help with both of those, because those grasses will resist disease and insect if we get the right new varieties in there. And then your problem should just start to go away, so you don't have to deal with it every year.
So I don't need to put anything on it.
I would at this point I would just get some new grass growing in there, and all of a sudden by Labor Day you might even be close to mowing it. Usually it takes about 3 weeks to have it ready to mow, but now's a great time to plant.
Okay. What was I going to say? Something else. If I used hydrotane on it and it didn't help it, does that mean it had
probably disease
damage?
The disease, yeah. So hydrotane is going to help with moisture. The F-stop is going to help with diseases, and the Bug Blaster or the Grub Free Zone is going to help with insects. And unfortunately, the damage of all three looks very similar if you look at it. So it's hard to diagnose without actually getting out there and physically, checking to see what's going on out there. So so if the hydrotane
didn't hydrotane on it, nothing happened.
Yeah.
So then I was like, So then I pulled up the grass and it came out. So I'm like, I must have bugs. I must have grubs. So then I put F-stop on it.
Yeah, and the F-stop works on disease, but then once you get the disease under control, it helps to put new grass in there to get new grass to come back, because it takes forever for it to recover. So
Okay.
Yeah.
I pulled all the gross grass out, so I have holes out there. So I'll just replant.
Yep, time to replant, get some new grass coming up in there, and then all of a sudden you're going to have a darker green, more drought-tolerant, more insect-resistant grass than what you've had previously. So,
Okay.
all right.
I appreciate it.
Great. Thanks so much for calling this morning,
Okay.
Vicki.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great weekend.
All right. And we go out now to Providence, and Sharon is on the line.
Good morning, Sharon. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Good morning. Thank you. So I have a question. We have some nice big aspen in our yard by the front of our house, and we love them. But as happens, you get this little crop of aspens all through the lawn, which
Yes.
we can cut down and manage because we like the aspens. But the thing I've noticed is that, like, it seems like the roots have come up close to the surface of the grass.
Yes.
And now a big section of the grass, though there aren't roots there, it looks really thin, like it's not a healthy, like, grass area,
Right.
like around it is.
Couple different.
What do we need to do?
Yeah, a couple different causes.
Besides cut the tree down.
Yeah, a couple different causes for that. So Quakies are in the poplar family, and their roots are just very shallow, and they spread out, horizontally, so they spread all over the place. And wherever they hit the surface, they send up a sucker, and so you get these little babies that pop up all over the place. But that root system is very aggressive, and so it's taking water and nutrient that the grass could use. And then as the trees get bigger, they create shade, and so the shade, of course, kind of starts to thin the grass out as well too. So it's a problem, and it's one that we can work on, but it's not one you can completely fix, because the trees are always going to just keep sending up suckers, and as the root systems get bigger, they're close to the surface, so you get more roots that just kind of push up, and so it just kind of end up having a lot of root system all over the place. But to keep
That's what we've noticed, because you can't run barefoot out.
yeah.
You'll run into
So
the-
to keep the grass looking good out there, it's always a good idea to add a little bit of topsoil. So if you can add just a little bit of topsoil to cover up some of those roots, they'll eventually find their way up. But you can add a little topsoil in there and overseed with some new grass. But what you want to do is make sure and mow your grass in that area shorter. By mowing the grass shorter, it's going to spread the grass out horizontally, so it'll fill in faster. And so cut a little bit closer there, especially if it's in a shadier location than you do in the parts of the grass that are like wide open and full sun all the time. And that's going to really help. And then make sure and fertilize a little heavier in that area as well, too, because the tree's stealing all the nutrient from the grass.
Oh, that's good to know, because it hasn't always been that way.
No.
We've had aspens in that area, and they don't so much shade the grass, although they do give it some shade.
Yeah, but it's the roots that are stealing the water and the nutrient from the grass. It just will gradually thin out over time. So mow a little bit closer in that area to get it to spread horizontally. Fertilize a little bit heavier as well, too.
Okay, and does it matter? I mean, we flood irrigate our yard, and so it gets every 7 days. It gets a really good watering.
Sounds good. Yeah, that should work great.
That doesn't make a difference, does it?
No, it's just that the tree root systems are just going to be problematic. But yeah, that's kind of the nature of Quakies. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess maybe once these die, if they die before I do, we won't plant them again. That probably wasn't our best choice.
Yeah, you can replace it with some other trees that look similar but don't have quite as aggressive root systems. So.
Yeah. So even if we wanted to do that to save our grass, we could do that and plant something different.
Yeah. And it doesn't hurt to overseed with some new grass to get the grass to fill in a little bit faster too.
Okay, and I heard someone earlier on your program say that they were going to plant some. You have grass that has rye in it.
Yes.
That would be a good.
Yeah. So the blends that I have that have rye in it, I've got just like a straight turf type rye that has 3 different varieties in it. But I also have like our Colorado Premium, which is a bluegrass rye mix, really, really nice. And then I've also got the Marks mix, which has rye and a turf type fescue in there, super drought tolerant. But the ryes are very resistant to the insects and disease damage. So very resistant.
Okay, so then that brings up one last question before you have to go on to the next caller. Is that going to be noticeable?
The rye.
Is there going to be a different color because we already have an established lawn.
The rye blends.
That,
the rye blends in very, very well with Kentucky bluegrass because texture-wise and thickness, it's very, very similar. But it is a little bit darker green, but it blends in really well. So we planted a section of our lawn last year with bluegrass and rye. So we did a 50-50 mix, and it looks just amazing right now. It looks so good. But it's definitely a little bit darker green than the rest of our lawn, but they match up really pretty well. I'm not too concerned about it. So,
alrighty. Thank you so
Thanks,
much
Sharon.
for your suggestion.
Yep. Have a great one.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Bill, we got like 30 seconds.
We have Christine on the line here. Let's see if we can get to her.
Okay, Christine, you got about 30 seconds, maybe a little bit more.
Oh, I got to talk fast.
Yes.
Okay, I have a daughter who lives out in Vernal, and she has planted some pepper plants, and she had aphids really bad, so she went and got some ladybugs, and they ate them, and then now she's got them back. What should she do?
She should get some pepper plants that don't attract aphids. No, the peppers and the aphids just go hand in hand. At this point, it'd be a little bit difficult to find more ladybugs. They do an awesome job with the aphids, but as soon as they eat all the aphids, they leave and go somewhere else. And so to get the aphids under control safely, there's some good products she could use where she's going to be harvesting her peppers right away. Triple Action from Fertilome would be excellent. 7, like they're ready to use, or the concentrate is good on peppers up to the day before you harvest. So you can spray it right up to the day before you harvest, where the Triple Action, you can use it right up to the day of harvest. So those would be some good options to get the aphids under control without damaging the peppers. So, yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you, Mark.
You are so welcome, Bill.
And of course, people can go to your store and ask more questions.
We'll be there. We'll be there all day today, and we'll be back with a new edition of the Garden Guide next week.
Is ignorant.
KVNU Logan, 610 AM and 102.1